Hi, my name is Karthik and I am from executeautomation.com and welcome to part 4 of our Katalon Studio video series. And in this video, we'll be talking about working with custom keywords and method calls in Katalon Studio. So before watching this part, I would request you to watch part 3, since in that part we were discussing about some advanced interactions and working with dynamic object properties of Katalon Studio. Alright, so let's get started. Custom keywords. Custom keywords allows user to define their own custom keywords to extend the capability of Katalon Studio. Once created, custom keywords can be used when implementing test cases, just like any other inbuilt keywords available in Katalon Studio. So basically, as we have seen in our previous video, all the methods that you are seeing in the manual mode as well as in the script tab, they're all methods, and these methods are otherwise called as keywords in Katalon Studio. For instance, click, scroll, drag and drop, modify object properties. These are different kinds of keywords which is available out of the box in Katalon Studio. But what if there are some situations where we need to write our own custom keyword to perform certain kinds of operation which Katalon Studio does not provide out of the box? For instance, this one. As you can see here, this method is a simple keyword which I have created and which we are going to work with in this particular video. All it does is this. It is going to check whether the drop-down list element actually has the particular option within it or not. So basically what I'm doing is this. I'm just creating a method in the Katalon Studio, something like check drop-down list element exists, and then I'm passing in the object and the option which I'm going to verify. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the web UI common helper which is available within Katalon Studio, and then I'm using the find web element method, which is more like the selenium.findElementBy method, and you're passing in the object there. And then I'm using the select method, which is something available in Selenium. So I'm using the same select method here and passing in the element which I have identified, which is nothing but the web element. And then I'm getting all the options, and then I'm going to iterate through all the elements within that particular option, and then I'm verify whether the particular text which I'm looking for is available within that particular list or not. So basically this is a very pretty straightforward and simple keyword that we can write and check whether a particular option is available within the dropdown or not. So if you want to do these kinds of option, then you have to write these kinds of methods as a utility in Selenium if you're going to work with. But in Katalon Studio, you have an option called custom keywords. You can create your own keyword, then you can reuse that particular keyword anywhere within any test cases which is available within that particular project. It doesn't mean that the keyword that you create is going to be available global to the Katalon Studio. It is going to be available only to the particular project that you're going to create within Katalon Studio, and it is available globally within that particular project. It is not going to be something which you're going to inject within Katalon Studio and is going to be available for all the projects that you're going to create. Not like that. The next one we're going to discuss is this: method calls. Method call statements allows you to make calls to other method provided by the built-in libraries of Katalon Studio. So basically it can be a built-in library as well as the custom method which is available within Katalon Studio. For instance, in this particular screenshot as I have shown, this is a login method. I'm just passing in the username and password as a parameter, and then I'm passing in the value of the username and password within the execute automation username and password element of that particular page. So this is what I'm going to do, and then calling this particular method is pretty straightforward and simple. All you have to do is just log in of the parameter, something like admin and password as admin or something like that. If you pass it, it is going to call the particular method. So that's what exactly method call is, and it is pretty straightforward to other languages like Java and C# that you have. And that's exactly what is this in method calls of Katalon Studio. And there are some documentations available of whatever we're discussing right now in Katalon Studio itself, but it has a different scenario, and what we're going to discuss today is going to be a complete different scenario. Alright, there are so many things to discuss in this particular video as well, so let's quickly get started and understand how things work. So for that, I'm going to flip to Katalon Studio. Alright, this opens my Katalon Studio, and right now I'm just going to go over to my existing project which we have already discussed in our part 2 of this particular video series. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this code a little bit so that we can adapt those new keywords and method calls in this particular project as well. So I'm not going to create a whole new project this time, rather I'm going to reuse the existing project that we have already discussed. And what is this particular project doing? Basically, it has a statement of for loop where it's going to iterate through all the data within the particular Excel sheet, and then it's going to pass in the data from the Excel sheet, and then it's going to perform series of operations like opening and working with the pop-up windows and alert options of the page and entering all the data in there and things like that. So this is the simple straightforward code which is available already, and we have already discussed about this in part 2 of this particular video series. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this particular piece of code by adding keywords and see how things work. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to work with this particular option that you can see here. This is going to be the select title ID, and if you go all the way to the object repository of the particular page, which is nothing but this one, as you can see, if I double click this, you can see it is actually a select value, which is nothing but the drop down box, and it has an XPath of ID of title, and there is a name of title and ID of title and data val of true. So this is the object that we're going to work with, and I'm going to verify whether this particular drop down box actually has the value which we're looking for. So if I quickly open the application, you'll understand what I really mean. So if I go to the Execute Automation demo site application, and if you go to this particular title, you can see that it has a select option, Mr. dot, and MS dot, which is Miss dot. So this is the 3 options is available within this drop down box. And I want to verify whether the miss option is available within this particular drop down box. That's it. That's a very, very simple way that option that I'm going to do. So we are going to create a custom method for this, and we're going to see how things work. So I'm going to come all the way to the keywords here, and you can see there is something called as a default package. So this package is more like the package which is available within C# and Java, where you can create a class within it, and you can group the similar classes or similar kind of functionality classes within a single package, and then you can access from there pretty much exactly what it is in Katalon Studio. So I'm going to create a new keyword this time, and I'm going to give a name for this package. Basically, this is going to be com.ea.utilities, and the name is going to be something like common utilities. So this is the class which I'm going to create. I'm going to hit OK, and you can see that it is going to change the package name from default to com.ea.utilities, and you can see this is the common utilities.groovy file, and the class name is common utilities. So this is the class basically, and this particular class is going to be something which can be accessible from within your test cases that you can create. All right, so let's quickly start creating the method which I was talking about. The method is going to look something like this. It is going to create a it is going to check a drop down if exists or not. So check drop down list element exist, and then I'm going to pass 2 parameters here. The first parameter is going to be the test object, and then it's going to take the option which is going to be the value of type string. So I'm going to get the option from here, right? So these are the 2 options that I actually require, and then I'm actually going to work with first getting the particular element, and then iterate through the element and get the text and verify that particular text or the option actually exists in the particular option or not, right? So in order to do that, I'm first of all going to create a Boolean flag which is going to be a false type, and I'm going to create a web element here. So web element of element, which is going to be the drop down element. And then I'm going to use what is called as a web UI common helper class. So this web UI common helper class is very, very useful class because it has different methods which is used to perform certain kind of operation, like unwrapping the actual driver behind what you're going to work with. For instance, here in our case, it is Selenium. So you can directly go through the Selenium methods, and you can perform the operation, something like you can see here, it check test object parameters, and the one which you're looking for, the find element, is also available here. So you can use this find element, and then you can pass the object here, which is this, and the option is going to be, and the next timeout option is going to be 20. So I'm going to set the timeout as 20 so that it don't throw any errors. And you can get a red squiggly line here. Basically it says that the particular package is not being imported. So you can import the org.selenium. See this? The import org.openqa.selenium.webelement, the one which is very familiar with the Selenium guys. That's exactly what it is. So we're basically importing the Selenium in this case. And I'm going to save it, and you can see the error is gone. And then I'm going to call the select class. So basically this is going to be the DDL, and then again I'm going to call the select, and I'm passing in the element here, right? So once I get this particular element, and then I can just iterate through this element. So basically again I get a squiggly line here. So what you can do is, like, you can just hit again, and you can see it says import org.openqa.selenium.support.ui. So this is the package I'm looking for. I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to use the for each, or maybe for in, something like that, and then I can just iterate through the elements. So maybe the element of DDL dot, there is something called as get options method. So I'm going to call that particular method. So IntelliSense is somehow not showing that option to us, but actually that particular option exists. And then you can use an if condition here, and you can verify whether the element of get text actually is equals to the option that you are passing in, which is nothing but this one, the parameter that you are passing in. So if it is equal, then you just write a system dot out dot print ln of element exists. So basically this is going to print as in the console of Katalon Studio, and if the particular element does not exist, then just print here is the element does not exist, something like that. So also I'm going to return it to true or false. So I'm going to set the flag here as true basically. So return flag is equal to true, and pretty much do exactly the same thing here, and I'm going to paste it here, and return the element not exist, and it returns nothing basically. You don't really have to return anything here, just set the flag as true, and then finally we can return the flag. All right, that's even more easier code. So this is the keyword which we have written here, the check drop down list element exist, right? I'm going to save this particular piece of code, and now if you go to the manual tab of the test case, and if you try to add a particular custom keyword, you'll get an error saying there is no custom keyword exist. And this is a true error, and the reason is because we don't really have a keyword unless until we define the annotation as at keyword. So this is the most forgettable annotation that we will ever encounter every time if we create a keyword in the keywords of the Katalon Studio. So don't forget to add this particular at keyword annotation. So if you miss this, it's always going to show you that there is no such custom keyword exists. So now if I just go and click this custom keywords, you can see that it's automatically bringing us the custom keywords over here, and then you can just try to add for the particular element that you're looking for. The one which I'm looking for is actually the title, and the value which I need to pass in is the miss value. So I'm just going to see whether the miss value exists in the drop down or not. That's it. That's the only thing which I'm going to do. Somehow it shows some error which I don't really know what the error is actually. So anyhow, I'm going to save this, and if I go to the script tab, and if I come all the way down, you can see that this time it has modified the code a little bit here. It says custom keywords dot, and it is getting the com.ea.utilities, this one, dot common utilities, and the method name, which is nothing but the check drop down list element exist, and then it is passing in the object, which is nothing but the drop down object, and then the value as ms. So if the miss value exists in that particular drop down, then it's going to print us a message saying the element exists. If it does not, then it's going to print a message saying the element does not exist, something like that, right? So that's what it is. So I'm going to save it, and if I run this particular piece of code, it is going to run, but there will be two messages basically. One is with element does not exist and one with element exists, and the reason is because there are two values, and we have to write the code in such a way that only if the value exist or not exist, just print only one time. Basically it's also going to the loop of the else statement, and that's the reason what I'm saying. So I'll tell what I really mean here. So let the test to complete, and now if I go to the console, okay, running for the second time because it has two data there. All right, so now I'm going to the console, and let's expand this console a little bit. So this console viewer is very, very helpful to show us some of the important information that we are looking for. Something like element exist or something like that. Okay, it's very hard for me to even find whether the particular element exist information is available or not. So basically what I'm going to do is like I'm going to go back to my message here, or maybe do I have anything on search? No, so maybe element exist, and I'll just give some dots here to uniquely identify the particular thing and print some informations here. And now if I go to the test case and if I quickly run this test this time. All right, let's go to the console and let's quickly see whether we have the information that we are looking for. Yep, you can see that we have this element not exist two times, which is because there were two options like select and Mr., and then there was miss option. So that's the reason the third time it says that the element exists. So that's what I was saying. Basically, since we are printing for each and every operation there, we are getting this particular message. So you can just modify this code a little more intelligent, maybe to print the value only while there is an option, or only if there is a flag set to true or something like that. So this you can do in a much simpler way if you want to cheat maybe. So you can just write the message here only for the first time, only one time, saying that the element exist, flag is, and then you can give a message here that flag, and then you can return the value, and you don't really have to print this particular else statement unnecessarily. So I'm gonna reduce the piece of code here, I'm gonna save it. And now if you run this particular piece of code, it is going to run and it is going to show you that only one time information, so not many information that you are seeing in the console earlier. So that's what it is. So basically it is going to execute the test, and it's going to run, and it's going to print the message only for the first time and not for each and every time that we were seeing before. So this is how you can work with the keywords in Katalon Studio. And the next thing which I'm very much interested in is going to be working with the methods or method calls. So if you go to the Katalon Studio, you can see there is something called as method call statements. So basically this method call statements are used to call a method which is available within your Groovy code. So if you want to do that particular piece of thing, you can easily do that. Basically you can just call this particular add and method call statements. You can just call a method if you have one. But if you don't really have any method, then you can just add and hit a method. So you can create a method by itself from here using what is called as a method builder. So this method builder basically builds a method for you, and you can pass in the return types, and you can call the method in a setup or tear down, or do you want to tear down if it fails or passed, or if it errors. You can set the annotations for them to do that. But basically I'm not going to work with the method builders because the method building is not something which I'm kind of looking for. Rather, the much easier way to do is can go to the script tab and you can just create a method. For instance, let's say I want to enter the username and password and I want to make this as a method. So basically I'm going to cut this piece of code, and as shown in the slide, I am going to create a method here, and let's call this as login method. And here you can just pass the username and password. Something like this. And within this particular username and password, all right, so this particular data is actually coming from the find test data is actually coming from the Excel sheet. So I can maybe cut this particular piece of code, and here I can just pass the username, and here it is going to be password. So it's going to be something like this. And to call this particular method, all you have to do is just go over here all the way and just do this username, login of, and if you just do control space, you can see it expects you to pass the username and password. So I'm gonna pass the username as this username, and then I'm gonna pass the password here, which is gonna be this as well. So the password, I guess it's gonna be something like this. All right, so looks everything good. So I'm gonna save it. And now if I try to run this particular piece of code, this code should work fine, because basically it's just calling a method over here. And now if I go all the way to the manual tab, you can see that we have a method, something like login, and you're passing in the values like username and password for these particular objects, and you're calling in the particular method over here using the method call statement. So this is exactly what it is available over here in the UI or the GUI. So now if I run this particular piece of code, maybe I can cancel this because it's actually bringing in the annoying update window. So I'm going to run this in Chrome. So you can see that it should enter the username and password if everything's right. So you can see that it is actually performing that operation. So which means that the method call is actually working. And similarly, the another operation, which is nothing but the custom keyword, is also working, and that's the reason within the console we could able to see the values that we are actually printing in, which is nothing but this one. The element exists flag is set to true. So this is how we can work with the custom keywords, as well as calling a method and working with method call statements within Katalon Studio. So once again, thank you very much for watching this video, and have a great day.